I usually try to beat a game or at least get probably 70-80% through before I review it, but I wanted to get to this one quicker because right now it's only $1.99, but typically it's $19.99, and it's worth all of the $2 that they're asking of you, so I wanted to get this review out. I'm just not very good at the game, so that's my problem. I've been playing this game called PID. Now, PID reminds me a lot of a game called Space Tales that I reviewed not too long ago. Both games are like a puzzle platformer with a little bit of Metroidvania sprinkled in just for effect, and both of them have some just crazy environments and stories. PID probably has a more crazy... No, it does have a crazier environment and story to go along with it. And by the way, I am comparing it to a game where you literally are a dog at some point and you ride the back of a squid through space. And I'm telling you, PID is a little bit weirder. So PID starts off as you control a little boy, probably around the age of 7, maybe 10, and you're on a bus trip. Although this bus trip isn't one like any of us have ever taken before, because it's not from, let's say, one town to the next town. No, this trip is interplanetary, meaning you're going from different solar systems, different planets. We don't really ever find out where he was supposed to be going at the beginning. All I do want to say is, who leaves their little boy on a bus like that? Like, that's the first thing I thought when I started playing this, is like, I have a son who's around the same age. I wouldn't want him to ride the bus in my own state like that, let alone my own town, let alone the entire universe. I mean, you can't tell me that there's not, like, space creeps out there or something. Instead of worrying about space creeps, he actually just has to worry about staying awake, which, by the way, is also a problem when you're dealing with space creeps. No, in fact, the little boy falls asleep and he misses his stop. So he ends up in a weird location he's never been to before. After talking to some very odd people, or creatures, space creeps, sitting on a bench that tell him, hey, just wait for the next bus, he discovers that they're lying, and that they've actually been there since they were kids themselves, and there is no next bus coming, or at least not for a long time, and decides that the only way to actually make it where he's trying to go is to hoof it. Go on foot, let's find out where we're going. You start exploring through this town-type area, and you sneak into like this little, this little wall that's available to you, and it turns into a gigantic house. With multiple people living in this domicile, some cool, some not, some weird robots who are on patrol that are just looking to shoot missiles at you. Also, there's a lot of spikes in this area as well. Why? I don't know. But there's a ton of spikes in this house. And you are given one tool that I think is really cool. You have a few other ones, but the one that I think is really cool is this like anti-gravity beam. You set this little beam on the floor, or you can throw it against a wall, and this beam can raise you or even sustain you in midair, which I think is really cool, especially when certain puzzles start kicking in where you're putting this thing either in the path of like enemies who are coming at you, or you're using it on rotating items or things like that where it can actually propel you further ahead. It's all kind of cool but difficult, and something that I'm not great at because, well, my mom dropped me on my head when I was a little kid far too many times. In fact, she just did it a couple weeks ago. My mom's a beast. She's training for WWE. Anyway, I really do like the graphics of the game. I like the environment and the music as well. And the sound. I don't want to mix those two things together because there are a difference. The sound effects and the music are both on point though. As well as, like I said, the graphics. Like, this game really does pop, especially on the Nintendo Switch OLED. As I said before, it's really difficult. At least, it's difficult for me. But it's also one of those games that if I put down for a second and then I come back to, I usually do better and I'm able to move on. But as far as reviewing in a short time, it's a bit difficult for me to do that. Again, there's probably a ton of people who are able to get through this game no problem, so I don't want to like scare you off with the difficulty aspect, but there is some to it. It's not like Super Meat Boy, but you know, it's going to give you a challenge, and there's a good chunk of game here because I've been playing for a while and I'm still not at the end. I've even fought like 2 bosses, I believe, which I know that's probably about the halfway point, but who can say for sure. I really do recommend grabbing this game, especially at $2, just because, I mean, that's the price of a soda at the store. Like, $2 is nothing. Sadly. Used to be. Back in my day, we could buy a house with $2. No, but I'm serious. Like, it really isn't that much of an investment, and if you're into these type of games, then you should grab it. And I gotta be honest, you puzzle platformers, Metroidvania fans, you guys all have like really good games, like a ton of them, relatively cheap. Even some of the Zelda clones are relatively cheap, but if you're like me and you're into RPGs, yeah, you can't find one cheaper than like $15, and that's like the bare minimum. Like, let alone like strategic RPGs. Good God, you can't find those things at all for under $30 or $40. I guess it's probably also a catch-22 though, because then you guys have like huge backlogs. I mean, I'm already experiencing it myself, and I'm not really the ideal market for these type of games. Anyway, I did also want to talk about something else, and that is what games I've been playing. Just to kind of padding this one out, I knew this was going to be a short review, and I also just want to talk about a couple of these games because I'm really, really enjoying them. Now, I've been talking about Stubbs the Zombie a lot, and I'm still playing that, and that game is so cool, except for it does get to a point when the levels are so long, like they're like 30, 40 minutes long, without a save point. So when you die, you have to restart the entire level over again, and I'm kind of just stuck in one of those loops with the game, but it's really fun, and I'm just about ready to beat that game. But the other game I've been playing is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This is one I've been sitting on for a long time, and I just wanted to enjoy it. I've been really excited, and I knew I would never get this game out in time for review, but I am kind of curious. If I do finish it within the year, I don't know if that's a possibility, but if I do you guys want me to do a review on it and just give you my thoughts on it or something like that? Kind of curious in that aspect, especially with like older games too. Are there any older games or games I'm playing? Like, would you want me to talk about some of that stuff more? I don't often. I usually just cover new games, but it's just something I've been thinking about. Like maybe doing sale of the week, new game, an older game, and then like a miscellaneous video. That's what I've been thinking about for going forward. Now, obviously not in the near future because we're doing all the end of the year fun stuff and all that, but starting next year and, maybe integrated slightly moving forward. I don't know. Just curious what your thoughts are on all that. I figure I have enough people in the comments, and I have enough, thankfully, I have enough people who will let me know what's up. And I've also been planning on making an RPG. So there's a game called RPG Maker that you can buy it, and you can make an RPG, right? But you can then give a code to people, and they can just download the RPG player for free, and then they can play your game. And I thought that might be something that'd be really cool to get into, but I don't know if I'm gonna have time, or how do I put this? I might have to put that on a Patreon. I know, I'm not like cool with Patreon stuff. But I believe if I'm doing that extra work like that, might deserve it. I don't know. We'll get into it. Like I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And one other small little announcement: the next review coming out should be tomorrow, and it's for Freud's Bones, which is a really weird game. It's interesting, it's kind of fun, but it's very weird. Anyway, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Like always, I'm wishing you health, wealth, and above all, I hope you're truly happy because you make me happy. Oh, and if you are like one of the other creators or someone who's been in contact with me or that I usually interact with and I haven't lately, I apologize. You gotta blame my 2-year-old daughter. She's a pain. And she's with me 95% of my waking time. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, I love y'all. Take care. Bye-bye.